name is Xumei and I come from Ocean University of China. Today, I'm very excited to share our work, OTA, an operation-oriented time allocation strategy for Greybox filing. Coverage-based Greybox filing is one of the most famous automated testing techniques for discovering security vulnerabilities. It follows the guidance that more code coverage implies more bugs. Among various filers, airfare is definitely the most famous one, and a lot of existing work is based on airfare. For example, airfare fast, airfare good, fare fuzz, co-airfare, Angra, Mopt, and Turtles fuzz. Then let us see the general workflow of airfare. The filer takes the user-provided seeds and the target program source code as inputs, and initialize the seed queue with the user-provided seeds. During one final iteration, the filer first selects a seed from the queue. Next, the filer mutates the selected seed with mutation strategies in order to generate new test cases. Then run the target program with new test cases and monitor program execution. If the test case makes the program crashed, then add it to the crash set. If the test case is interesting, that is to say, this test case brings new coverage, then add this test case to the input queue. The core of coverage-based Greybox filing is how to generate interesting test cases. So, multiple attention has been paid to mutation strategies. Mutation strategies often consist of a set of mutation operations. For example, airfare imply bit flip, byte flip, and shown in the slide, giving a binary sequence. Operation bit flip to 1 will sequentially flip 2 bits with step over 1 bit. As a result, 3 new test cases are generated. Next, we use a preliminary experiment to discuss our motivation. Here, we'll first give the definition of operation effectiveness. For an operation, its effectiveness is calculated by the number of interesting test cases generated by this operation, divided by the number of total test cases generated by this operation. In our experiment, we run airfare with real-world programs and record the execution time, as well as the effectiveness of each operation over time. This figure shows some of the results, and we have the following observations. Firstly, different operations have different effectiveness. For example, in fuzzing with ELF, operation bit flip is more effective than operation erase within the same iteration. Secondly, an operation's effectiveness varies over time. However, previous work doesn't take into consideration operation effectiveness in the time allocation. Therefore, there are 2 limitations. The first is inefficient time allocation for different operations. As we can see, bit flip is more effective than erase. However, erase is allocated more execution time. Secondly, inefficient time allocation for one operation in different iterations. For example, bit flip has lower effectiveness within the range of 50 to 100 when compared to the effectiveness within the range of 100 to 150. But the former takes 10 times longer than the latter. As a result, ineffective operations with lots of test cases occupies the majority of limited runtime, reducing the opportunities for effective operations to explore more passes and find more vulnerabilities. So, we should design better time allocation for operations based on their effectiveness. In this paper, we introduce OTA, an operation-oriented time allocation strategy. We consider time allocation as an optimization problem, which aims at exploring better execution time for operations based on their historical effectiveness iteratively within specific search space. Because of the randomness of filing and the diversity of target programs, this optimization has three features. The first one is program-dependent search space calculation. Let us see this figure. This figure shows the execution time of different operations when filing different programs, where each operation number represents an operation. We can see that execution time varies with target programs and operations. Therefore, search space should be initialized on demand for various operations and targets. In order to initialize search space, we launch a child process to record the execution time of operations in one iteration and store the results to variable setime. Then we set the upper and lower limits of search space based on setime. And we also reduce the lower bound of an operation if it fails to produce any interesting test cases for a long time. The second feature is two-pronged fitness evaluation. Our insight is that the difficulty of generating interesting test cases increases over time. Therefore, we should not evaluate an operation based only on its effectiveness at different time. In this paper, we introduce the difficulty weight to represent the difficulty of generating interesting test cases. There, the iteration donates the current iteration number, and the result, an operation's fitness is calculated by the difficulty weight times operation effectiveness. The last feature is convergence control. In extreme cases, the determination of execution time should be well controlled to achieve a quick convergence, and this is achieved by the descent mode and the ascent mode. If an operation fails to generating interesting test cases in several iterations continuously, this will trigger the descent mode. This mode will significantly reduce the execution time. After the descent mode, if an operation generates an interesting test cases, this will trigger ascent mode. This mode will significantly increase the execution time. Additionally, an optimization algorithm is needed for calculating execution time in normal case. Therefore, we develop a customized particle swarm optimization. The particle swarm optimization algorithm implies a population of particles and iteratively moving this particle around in the search space based on local baseline positions and global baseline positions. And this algorithm follows the following formula. As we can see, X represents the position of a particle, and the P best represents the local baseline position, and the G best donates the global baseline position. In our implementation, we imply each particle as a 15-dimensional vector, where each dimension represents an operation, and we use position, and we define position as the operation's execution time. In one iteration, we'll first run the mutation strategies with particles position, and then evaluate the operation's fitness and select the local and global baseline positions. Finally, we calculate the position per particle based on the formula 1 and 2. To verify the effectiveness of our approach, we conduct a series of experiments. This is our experiment setup. We selected file fathers and baseline fathers. We run OTA and baseline fathers on 7 rolled programs. We run each fathers on each program for 36 hours, and the experiment was done 10 times. Besides, our two vital metrics is page discovery and vulnerability detection. In terms of page discovery, we run OTA and baseline fathers with 7 real-world programs. Its figure in slide shows the experiment results. The blue line represents our father OTA, and others represent the baseline fathers. As we can see, OTA outperforms other fathers. In terms of vulnerability detection, we select the LoveM dataset and the 4 real-world programs as target. This two tables show the statistical results. As we can see, OTA outperforms 5 sets of fathers in terms of vulnerability detection. We also deeply concerned about that whether our father can detect new vulnerabilities in the latest version of programs. Luckily, in total, OTA exposes 18 new vulnerabilities in 6 software, and 13 of them are assigned with new CV IDs. In conclusion, we propose a novel operation-oriented time allocation strategy, which can dynamically allocate execution time per operation in real time to cope with the effectiveness variation per operation. And we implement a prototype of OTA, and we open source it and GitHub. And we evaluate OTA with 5 sets of fathers on real-world programs and LoveM datasets. Finally, OTA exposes 18 previous unknown vulnerabilities in the latest version of 6 programs. Thank you.